Hello, Braves Country. It's Coach Ken Anderson coming to you for Hardcore Braves, and we've got the state of the pitching in June. We got a lot to talk about, and so we got my man Andrew Davidson this time. Greg is off, and so Andrew's jumped on here, and he's was a good hitter, and he likes pitching. So Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Ken. How are you? It's a nice little Monday afternoon.
Yeah, it is. We got through the fourth. We usually film these fairly quickly, but the 4th of July, we're trying to pace ourselves a little bit. We've all been busy traveling, doing things. So we've got the content out. So we do appreciate y'all following. So the state of pitching in the month of June, we're going to give our grade first. Our grade is probably both of us is going to be C because they were good parts and they were very bad parts and they were mixed parts. So we're just going to go down through here. So we're going to start with the starters. And the starters overall encompassed the whole month of June for pitching. So here's our starters. Chris Sale in the month had a 2.35 ERA. He had a 1.48 whip, Andrew. So everybody's talking about Chris Sale as Chris Sale. Well, it wasn't Chris Sale. And I was one of the ones that kept saying it's not Chris Sale. So maybe I don't know what's going on. I know they're trying to pace him. So with Chris Sale, is it rust or what? But he is allowing a lot more runners on base, and because of that, Chris Sale cannot get out of the sixth inning. So, what are your thoughts on our number one pitcher and All Star, Chris Sale?
Uh, while he's still been really good, I think his slider hasn't been there the entire year. I think you and I have talked off air about that, but I don't think his arm slot has been where it has been the last couple years, especially on his slider. The fastball velocity is great, location's been good, but he's not landing that slider. Um, the nasty slider, just usually how he has in the past. Maybe that's something he's working on or not, but the slider hasn't been there.
Yeah, with him too. And two things happen to pitchers. If they have a lot of time off, their velocity tends to go up from the rest, but their off speed control goes down. So it's a thing that you're trying to play. Now, we know the Braves are trying to do this to get him to postseason. I'm not concerned at all. His whip at 1.48 tells me he's not been Chris Sale. Everybody keeps telling Andrew, just tell me Chris Sale. He's not been Chris Sale. 1.48 whip, that is borderline Patrick Corbin. And we all don't think Patrick Corbin's an ace. So that's what Patrick Corbin does is he works around. He's a great pitcher. I mean, he's pitching in the major leagues. He knows how to pitch. And that's what Chris has had to do. So I'm curious as after we get through the All-Star break in late August and September, I'm sure he's going to go to a regular rest to get ready for the postseason. And I think Chris Sale is going to take off. Do you also think Chris Sale is going to take off when we get toward the end of the year? And maybe his fastball velocity will come down a tick, but his slider should be spot on. And I think we're going to get the ace we need.
Yeah, I completely expect that, and that's something that, as a former baseball player, I'd be okay with. You
Yeah.
know, the sliders, his out pitch, whether it's a rollover ground out to shortstop or if it's just a nasty strikeout. His fastball is going to play anyway from that arm slot, whether it's sitting at from 93 to 95 or 96 to 97, something like that. His fastball is going to play, and then doesn't matter when he's in the postseason. His fastball is going to be super high anyway, from the adrenaline.
Yeah, I agree. So our second starter in ERA is a guy who just got back in the rotation. He didn't make a start in June, so we're going to include him in our starters because he looks like he's back to being maybe, let's hope, fingers crossed, the All Star he was a couple years ago with Reynaldo Lopez. And Reynaldo went to the bullpen and sneaky learned a curveball. He had knew a curveball, but he learned it even better. Reynaldo was 3.48 ERA, which is pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. Mostly out of the pen. He did have one start. His whip also was high at 1.40. So I think Reynaldo, being back in the pen, if he can pitch like he did 2 years ago, it could be a huge spot for us. What are your thoughts on Reynaldo Lopez?
Um, while the whip is just a little bit high. That's kind of what you expect from Ronaldo Lopez. But I think he's been really good since he first moved back to the bullpen, and then his first two starts, he's been pretty good. If he can return to almost the 2024 All Star Ronaldo Lopez, this Braves pitching staff is going to be in a lot better position than they were maybe in the start of June. But moving forward, man, if he returns and he keeps pitching well, this rotation is going to be in a really good spot to come deadline time, and then they're going to have some good problems to potentially make heading into the postseason.
Here's the thing on Reynaldo too. He pitches right after this show tonight. I think it's a big start. Word is they've got him bumped to 80 to 90 pitches. And the reason they put that length, and Andrew will tell you this, is because they don't know what the stress pitches are. So he has not a lot of stress pitches. It'll be 90. What we consider stress pitches are situations like bases loaded, one out, and he's trying to get out of it, or a lot of deep counts, a lot of foul balls, and he's got to go deep in his repertoire. So we'll see tonight with Reynaldo. But I think I'm excited. I'm just saying I'm excited. What I seen out of Reynaldo, Ryan, I was talking to Ryan on the phone just a few minutes before this, Andrew. He's got to wait and see. That's perfectly acceptable too. It's okay either way. But I think if Reynaldo turns into that number 3 playoff starter for us, we could go a long way in October. About you?
I agree on Ronaldo. His stuff plays up here. His fastball's got good ride. The curveball has kind of been sneaky good. If his,
Yeah.
he's kind of like similar on the slider to Holmes, but if he can get that slider to where it starts in the zone and then drops off right in that last 5 to 6 feet before it gets to home plate, he's gonna have some strikeout success. And then to the lefties, he needs to keep using that changeup because his changeup can play really well, getting him out of some of these deep counts that Ronaldo's had. But I think it'll be really big for Ronaldo tonight and then moving forward because I think he could be a big time player in the postseason out of maybe a start, or maybe if we run into maybe a potential long game in the postseason, he could be used for 2 or 3 innings at a time out of a game in October.
Yeah, I agree. So he's going flexibility. We have to see where AA goes on that. Now, the next pitcher in ERA in WHIP in the month of June was Grant Holmes. We always stay on Grant, but Grant is a bulldog and pitched well. Grant had a 3.98 ERA. His WHIP was 1.43, lower than Chris Sale's. And Grant did make a start here in July finally, and he finally did not nibble with 2 strikes, and he didn't have but 1 walk. He's been averaging at least 4 walks per 9. That's been killing him, and so that was a good start. We all think Grant should be in the bullpen, but right now that is not. Guys, got to move off of that just for a little while until we find out what our starting rotation is. So Grant will be a starter. What do you think about Grant's performance in the month of June, and what do you think going forward here in July?
I was such a fan of Grant start in San Diego. I thought after coming off a tough kind of get or a tough start that was given to him when we played the Giants at home with that pouring rain, his next start in San Diego was really good. I thought he had one bad pitch to a really talented future Hall of Famer in Manny Machado, um, to where you can't really blame the guy for giving up 1 run when your offense doesn't score you a run in 6 innings. But Grant's a bulldog out there. He's going to give you his best every time out there, and I thought he's got better when he's stopped nibbling on in 2 strike counts because he can get ahead in the count. And when he does, he starts nibbling, just trying to get that strikeout rather than being, trying to get that slider just slightly off the plate or in that strike zone. I feel like sometimes he had been afraid to get 2 strike contact, but now he's trying to. In the last couple games he's pitched, he's been really good about finding that strike zone and getting outs without getting to full counts or 2-2 counts or having a bunch of at bats where there's 5 to 6 foul balls.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the deal with Grant. Grant problem is he doesn't trust his fastball. And so the first time through the rotation, first time through a lineup, it's easier to go and just go with your off speed. Then the second time, he can't really think where he's going to go get his outs. But that's the reason why Grant will be a very pivotal point in the postseason. Grant, somebody's going to go a short start or too many pitches, and Grant's going to come and be a Sean Green or a Brad Hand and eat 3 innings right in the middle of a big playoff game, and y'all going to want to build a statue for Grant Holmes. So that's where Grant is. So the next pitcher, as far as ERA and WHIP, was Martin Perez, 4.26 ERA, WHIP up to 1.34. We're starting to see the regression in Martin, which we all expected. That's okay. He's supposed to be a number 5 starter. He was not supposed to be our number 2 starter. And we might as well go here and announce it. Everybody's finding out on Braves country. The Braves today put Martin on the IL. He took 2 shots. He took a shot from Manny Machado in San Diego, and then the next start, Juan Soto hits him with a ball. It sounded like a gun going off in the stadium yesterday when he hit it off his pitching forearm. Bo did tweet out that they're called a contusion, do a CT scan, but even then, they think there's no break, so that's good. He gets the All-Star break too. He's on the IL, so Martin will be back, and who knows? He may be the left-handed bullpen piece by all this goes through that adds to Dylan Dodd and Dylan Lee. We'll see what happens as the end of July hits. But Martin, just a regression that you expect. He's not going to be a number 2 numbers guy. He's more of a number 5 guy, and that's what he's regressed to. Even in yesterday's start against the Mets, he had settled down when Juan hit him. I mean, he gave up 5 runs. 4 were earned because Austin made a terrible error in the start of the game. But this is what you expect out of a 5th starter. Martin's done a good job. You got any other thoughts to add to Martin Perez?
Yeah, this was kind of expected. Kind of regressed a little bit. I mean, but he's still giving us out there, dogging his way through 5 innings for us, 5, almost 6, getting into the 6th inning, and he's keeping us in the ball game. While his first couple months he was maybe giving up 1, 2 runs a game, he's maybe giving up 3 to 4 right now, but he's still keeping us in the ball game. He's still giving us a chance to win, and he's doing what we signed him to do, be a 5th starter. It will be interesting, like you said, to see what they do with Martin as we get closer to the deadline when he comes off the IL. Is he going to be that left-handed addition? What will happen with Danny Young? We don't know that. But I think we both know Lee and Dodd have done such a great job that they're going to be the 2 lefties for now. So the third one will be interesting to see. But Martin has been better than what we needed him to do when we first signed him in spring training. We got to give big props to the guy.
Yeah, we're 52 and 36, and part of it's because Martin Perez has pitched well. So he'll always be a big part of the 2026 Braves. We're just saying, getting closer to the trade deadline, things can change, and we'll see what route the Braves go. All right, so we go to the 2 pitchers who really struggled. One was just for a brief moment, and we'll get to that because we'll announce all the transactions and injuries here in a second. But the one guy that we really counted on, and was just horrible. I mean, he's one of my favorite guys, but Bryce Elder was 8.10 ERA with a 1.61 WHIP. His sinker is flat. His cutter is flat. He's not locating well. So they said, well, it looks like he's tired. He's got a tired arm. And even his last press thing, Bryce talked about, I'm a little, and he should be. And nobody should be upset with Bryce Elder. He gave 3.5 years with that arm. He's took the ball every time. Right now, he's slated to pitch Thursday in Pittsburgh. We'll see if he makes that start. Me and Andrew talked about it before we got on the air. If he doesn't, it's an easy to put him on the IL and let him just bring up another arm. We'll see how the Braves go. Hopefully he'll make that start. Sometimes you know how it is. You were out there too. Take about 10 days off, your arm gets strong again. So Bryce was terrible in June, and I hate that for him because he was having a great start to the season. But do you hope the 10 days or think the 10 days rest, he can bounce back and that sinker and cutter, especially the cutter. The sinker, sometimes you need to be a little tired, but the cutter gets a little bit more movement and he can bounce back and have a good start in Pittsburgh Thursday.
Yeah. As Bryce is slated to start Thursday in Pittsburgh, I'm hoping he can get back to what he was doing. He's never going to be the high strikeout, high velocity guy that we think Chris Sale is, or we know Chris Sale to be, or maybe someone like AJ Smith-Shaw or Hurston Waldrop. But Bryce has given his arm to this team for almost 4 years now. Um, and even in times where he was really struggling, we just let him go out there and get crushed. And it wasn't fair to him, but we needed him to go out there and do it. And but I do think some extra rest for Bryce, and if he doesn't feel well when we're up there and on this upcoming road trip, if his arm doesn't feel well, just go ahead, put him on the IL, bring up somebody else from Gwinnett. Maybe Karinchak can come back up there, and maybe Richie or Murphy or whoever can start and give this team some innings. But hoping Bryce this time off can be really beneficial for him to figure out what's been causing the cutter and sinker to be flat. But I think he can come back and do it because he was pitching like an all-star the first 2 months of the year.
Yeah, I agree. We'll go into the transactions real quick on this one because Bryce was not the only one that had a terrible June. He just had to go through the whole 30 days. The other guy who made 2 starts in June was Spencer Strider, and Strider had 11.25 ERA, 1.75. Luckily, he doesn't have another tear. But it's inflammation. I don't know when Spencer Strider's coming back. We're not going to spend a long time on Spencer because it's just sad. I feel bad for Spencer because he wants to be out there. So we'll see. But that gets us to the transaction. So today, Owen Murphy is coming up and making his major league debut. He's going to pitch out of the pen, slated to pitch out of the pen. So is J.R. Ritchie's coming back. We're not going to spend any time on Carlos Carrasco. Cookie is what Cookie is. He needs to retire. He's just there trying to get people through a 162-game season this year. Seems like a great guy, great teammate. We'll leave it at that. So with that, and then the other kid is Hurston Waldrop, who actually had a 0 ERA, but he only pitched 2 innings in June. But he did have a good start to start off with. So we're going to finish off the starting rotation before we get into the injuries in the bullpen and start the bullpen. So the starting rotation is pivotal right now. Chris Sale, we're trying to hold off. And Owen Murphy and J.R. Ritchie may have to make starts. We'll see. It's good to see the kids up here. I thought J.R. grew up in the Mets game for sure. 3 innings. He looked great. He struck out Juan Soto in a big spot with his curveball. So maybe I'll start trusting his curveball like we've been trying to tell him. Grant Holmes and Bryce Elder are your middle guys. You just kind of want them to kind of produce. I think the whole thing relies on these 2 guys in the month of July. Reynaldo Lopez and Hurston Waldrop. If they pitch well, this whole rotation will settle down and it'll allow AA to go make moves. Not to put a lot of pressure on both, but this rotation in July is probably going to go as good as Lopez and Waldrop pitched. Do you agree?
I agree because you know what Sale's going to give you? He's going to give you innings. He's going to go out there and be a dog. He's our ace. That's automatic win day for the Atlanta Braves. But Waldrop and Lopez, like you said, have to be the guys that are consistent, giving you guys innings and going out there and producing well, not going out there and just getting hit all over the ballpark. We need these guys to be pivotal, middle of the rotation guys, get outs, give innings, and give this team a chance to win a bunch of baseball games. And if they both can do that, I'm very confident in this Atlanta Braves offense to keep going in the trajectory that they are on the last 5 games and head it right into the deadline really in a really good spot.
Yeah, they have 7 games. It'd be nice to have a 5-2 stretch coming through here to finish it off. And if they do that, they're going to be. We talked about it on the fans roundtable with the guys that come on. They could be 4 or 5 games up going into Philadelphia for the All-Star game, and that would be really nice. At least keep their 3-game lead because I don't think the Phillies are going to go better than 5-2 on their trip as they go through this. They're going to have to get Skubal and Chase Burns coming through this road trip, and that's not going to be easy for them. So we'll see. So before we start the The relievers here, real quick word. AJ Smith-Shawver threw another rehab appearance. AJ threw 100. And I watched the game this morning. He was spot on. His off speed was spinning. His velocity was good. The best part, 45 pitches, 33 strikes, Andrew. We get to the end of July, state of the pitching. I think we're going to have AJ Smith-Shawver coming back. Are you excited about AJSS coming back to the rotation?
Yes, because I've always been high on AJ. I met the kid when I used to work at the stadium. He was a super nice kid, throws the ball well, and his fastball is back. Looks like he's worked on his off speed when he was down at the spring training facility, and he's throwing gas right now in Augusta. I cannot wait to see where they put him next. I would just my perspective, not throwing anything out there. I don't know anything. I would maybe guess his next start is at a higher level, maybe Columbus, maybe AAA. But going back to what Alex Anthopoulos said about AJ on his last interview was that they kind of don't expect him to use the full 30 days of his rehab assignment. They don't do that typically. They're going to want him sooner than later. And I really caught on to that saying, well, shoot, they may want him, you know, first, second series after the All-Star break if he keeps looking the way he is. And if he feels comfortable and he feels ready, he may be ready, by the first road trip or something after the All-Star break. And that will be really big because then we'll still have a week left of July heading into the deadline to give Alex a really good point of view of what he's got right now. And whether that's from guys who have been proven and then these kids up in here. But AJ could be, I think for July, he's going to be someone we could talk about at a really high level potentially.
Here's the deal on the timeline. Let you know what the timeline is. First of all, AA. Let AJ Smith-Shawver throw Saturday in Gwinnett. They're the home team of the minor league teams. I think it'll be a great spot. The caliber will be even better. I think it'll be a big crowd, and yours truly will be there. So I'd like to see AJ Smith-Shawver throw Saturday. I'll be at the Gwinnett Stripers game this Saturday. I'm excited about that. Y'all come out and say hey to us. Ryan's going to be there for sure, too. So we'd love to see y'all. Not sure about Aaron. I don't think Andrew's coming, but that's okay. You get to see some of us there. So be a great game from the start. So he pitches that one, and then they got the same problem. They're going through a All-Star break. So to get him a next start, he's probably going to have to wait another week. So he'll probably pitch the next weekend. I think that's going to be maybe in Rome or Columbus because they'll be home. He's going to pitch wherever they're home. He's not going to go on the road.
Yeah.
So wherever that's at, and then as Andrew said, I think the next road trip, and if you go with Hurston Waldrop, is the reason why he's going to throw 60 his next start. He's going to throw 75 his next start. If you remember Hurston, that's when they brought him up, and I would not be surprised if the Braves don't bring him up. Put him in the pen as a long relief just to let him get his feet wet. I think that's why Owen Murphy more likely is going to pitch out of the pen, get his feet wet, and then he'd make a start. So I think the road trip after the San Diego home games, anywhere in that but I think he's coming definitely by the trade deadline. So good news on AJ Smith-Shawver. So let's get to the best part of this ball team, their bullpen. We did a hitter's state of the offense. It was crummy. We just did the state of pitching. It was middling, and bullpen is great. That's just great. So let's get through it. Start with the guy, Robert Suarez. 0 ERA and had to go to the IL. He had the same tired arm as Kenley. That's a good sign, guys. And everybody wants to have Robert Suarez out for the year because we panic on social media. But that's a good sign. Exact same injury as Tyler Kenley. And everybody's seeing Tyler Kenley throw right now, other than the hanging slider he threw the other night in the Cardinals game to Ryan Church, or Dylan Church, the kid's Church's first name. But other than that, he's pitched well. He pitched great against in the Mets series. So that's a good sign for Robert Suarez. I expect him back on July 17th. That's when the Rangers come in town. I expect a lot of people back on July 17th, by the way. So are you excited about Robert Suarez coming back?
Well, I just throughout our off-season chats and calls, we were calling for Robert Suarez quick, and we got him. Robert Suarez was dominant in June, and then unfortunately had to hit the IL. So, and then came kind of maybe at a good time, so he's get some extra rest, and then he got the 4 days off from the All Star break. But yes, I'm expecting a lot of guys back, including Robert, on July 17th for our first game against the Texas Rangers, and I think that'll be a big opportunity for the Braves to get some guys back, especially Robert, and take off from there in the second half.
Excited. And the other part of the killer trio, it's been great all year. Dylan Lee had a 0 ERA in June. Now, he had his first hiccup of all year in the Cardinal series, and it pissed him off so much. He come out Saturday, and he made three Mets batters, including Juan Soto, look ridiculous. He struck out the side, just 10 pitches. Just Dylan Lee is special, and hopefully somehow when all these pitchers start saying they can't pitch in the All-Star game because they get set up, they can pick anybody up, and I expect Dylan Lee to be one of those pickups for the All-Star game. I think Bitt Roberts will do that. What are your thoughts on Dylan Lee?
Dylan Lee's a bulldog. We talked about Grant Holmes being a bulldog, given everything he's got every time he goes out there. Dylan Lee is a bulldog, and he absolutely owns Juan Soto. That guy owns Juan Soto every time that he's faced him in big situations. It goes back to last year, even too. He just strikes him out, and Soto can't do anything about it. And Dylan Lee is just special. He doesn't blow you away with the fastball, as we all know, but man, that slider is special. His changeup is gross, and he's just Mr. Consistent. He's the best left-handed reliever in the game of baseball right now. I would say all bullpen pitcher, but there's a Aroldis Chapman, but he's a closer. Dylan Lee is the best non-closing left-handed relief pitcher in the game right now, and I don't know if it's really close.
I agree. I got a stat coming to you in a minute that you're going to find amazing on our two lefties. All right, beside that, so their whips were 0.64, 0.65. It's pretty good. Rossiel Iglesias' whip was 1.34. So if you were noticing Rossiel was a little off, he was. Rossiel is one of those relief pitchers. Rest does not help him. Rest hurts him. And because we sucked so bad in June, Rossiel has not got the work. He wants to throw every day. And he's one of those. He's an old style kind of closer. He wants to throw every day. The other guy who's an old style closer is the best closer in baseball, Mason Miller. Whenever they stop using Mason, that's when you can hit Mason Miller. So they just throw him all the time. I mean, he just come through a game. They were on a bad losing streak. He stopped the game, but he had runners all over the place. And if you remember, in his first game against us out in San Diego, they were coming through a losing streak, and he struggled against us. So Rossiel struggled, but don't worry about Rossiel. We'll get to throw him more. He ended up with a 1.86 ERA. That's struggling for Rossiel.
Yeah.
1.86 ERA, 1.34 whip. He's an all-star, Andrew, what do you think about Rossiel?
Congratulations, Mr. Iglesias. You deserve it almost more than anybody else in the game of baseball right now. You have worked your tail off for so many years trying to get to an all star game. You probably should have been there multiple times, but the stupid fan vote, and every team has to have a player represent at the all star game, has probably kept you out. But man, you've been a dog this year. I know you last year out the gate, like Ken said, we suck so bad to start 2025. We couldn't pitch you, and that hurt you. And June hurt a little bit, but the multiple games you've looked in July and the end of June, when we've started playing a little bit better, back to normal Braves baseball, you've looked really good. And kudos to you, Mr. Iglesias. You are a dog out there.
I'm excited for Rossiel. We'll see if he pitches. A lot of the veteran pitchers let the kids go throw in their first one. So we'll see if Rossiel throws in the All Star game. He would want to because he wants to keep pitching. So we'll see. Our big three has turned into a big five, big six, really. Big six in this. Everybody doesn't want to throw one guy in there, but we got to throw him in there because his numbers say he should be. The fourth being Dieter Fuentes, 2.08 ERA, 1.15 whip. The evolution in Didier is great, and he'll be a future All-Star. I can tell you that right now. Whether it's a starter or the closer in the back end of the end, the Braves will have an interesting decision to make in 2027. Do they move him to be a number two starter, or are they going to make him the closer? Raciel signed a 1 year deal. Lots of decisions to go. That's winter, and we got a lockout coming probably, so we'll see. Didier's special. He's definitely the one prospect that's untouchable. Andrew, what do you got to say about Mr. Fuentes?
Mr. Untouchable right now, Mr. Nasty. I went down there and saw him in spring training. He threw against the Yankees, and New York brought a pretty good lineup against them. They had Bellinger, they had Ben Rice, they had Austin Wells, and a couple other typical starters out there. And he gave up one hit over like 5 innings. And I was like, man, this kid looks different than when he was in 2025. Didier Fuentes is nasty right now. The evolution of him and the growth of his baseball mindset and mental growth has just been amazing. Like you said, it's going to be a very interesting decision Alex is going to have this upcoming offseason, whether he wants to be a starter or a bullpen. I mean, the way it looks, I'm keeping him in the bullpen. If you ask me, I mean, I don't know how you can be much, much better at his age and with his experience, but Didier has been fantastic.
I say this, I said it to my friend Greg. We talked about it, and then I talked to Ryan today about him. Um, let's win the 2026 World Series and have the great Twitter war of Didier Fuentes where he goes, because I think it'd be split down the middle. I think either way, I would put him in the bullpen. I think he affects more games as a closer he does as a starter. But I would be disappointed if they made him a starter, but I'm not going to be upset because I think he can be a dominant starter as well. So I'm going to live whatever AA decides. I support AA, whatever decision you make on this. I may be a little bit more frustrated one way or the other, but that's irrelevant. So you got to do what's best for the ball team. And I don't know who's out there. They may have a closer fall in their lap and they need to make him a starter and vice versa. All right, let's go to the next guy. The guy y'all don't want to group in huh?
Could depend on what they want to do with the Glaciers and what happens with the lockout.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see. And Rossiel may want to pitch for another friendly contract too. So we'll see. All right. So one guy you don't want to lump into the big six, but he actually is in there. Tyler Kenley, 2.08 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. He is identical, the same numbers as Didier. Identical. No different. Why does
Wow.
Tyler not get the love, Andrew, that he deserves?
Because he doesn't throw 100
No.
and
He's not
he doesn't
21.
he doesn't use his fastball. It's the same thing that happened with Pierce. Pierce didn't get much love, but Pierce was great for us for 3 years. Tyler throws the slider, and everybody likes to crap on him because he's had what, maybe 3 bad outings this year, and that just happens. That's baseball. That's just going to happen. And but when you look at the numbers, Tyler's been our top six. I mean, we have a big six. Whether you don't, I know you don't want to say it, but it's there. There's not a better 6-man bullpen right now than what we have, and that's even with Suarez out, really. And Tyler's been amazing. I mean, what a trade last year from Alex. I mean, he was in Colorado at a 6 ERA. He's had a less than 2 ERA than what he's got here since last August. Tyler's been amazing, and looking forward to what Tyler can do for us the remainder of the year.
You may say, well, what about innings pitched? They both threw 9 in the third innings. They both threw it's almost like you thought they just did a print. The only difference is Didier struck out more guys than Tyler. Like you said, that goes to the 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Also, Didier's 21, and everybody loves young kids. Everybody wants the kids to play. So that's it. So let's go to the numbers. The sixth guy, he's quietly becoming great, and I got a stat for you. Dylan Dodd. Dylan Dodd had a 2.48 ERA. 1.06. So Dylan had the third lowest whip for reliever in the month of June for Braves pitching. I will give you this stat. Yesterday, it was circulated around the press, and we put it out. Dylan, I don't think they even put it out. They might have missed it too, but it was by the press box. Dylan Lee and Dylan Dodd have two of the lowest batting averages and OBPs against and OPS against relief pitchers in baseball in top five. Dodd is fifth. Dylan Lee is second. Again, we're not talking whatever of left-handed pitchers in MLB. I think everybody would probably thought Dylan Lee would be top five. I don't know how many Braves country realized that Dylan Dodd would be fifth lowest left-handed pitching. I think they found their other left-hander to go in the postseason. What about you?
Yeah. Um, I think Dylan Dodd is your amazing number two lefty. And who thought after the way he started in 2023 that he could ever rebound back and be like this? I mean, only he did. He's grown so much in the last year and a half, and his fastball is nasty. His slider's really good. His cutter's great. That kid is nasty. He's got a long future in this Braves bullpen ahead, and unless the right deal is right there for Alex, we may not have to go get another left-handed reliever. Depending, like we mentioned earlier in the show, Martin Perez could provide that. Danny Young has been pretty good so far. So we may be set on left-handed relievers right then, and we can focus on other areas that we won't get into on this show, but we know where they are.
I agree. And Danny Young, we won't include him in the June stats because Danny didn't pitch here to July. He's had 2 outings and he's been perfect. And Danny Young's coming off an arm injury. He hadn't pitched since 2024. And if he comes into that and like with Martin, I think the Braves are actually set. Now we got a whole month to go. If they pitch this well, I fully expect if they pitch like this in the month of July, we are not obtaining a left-handed reliever. I think that's out the door. I think they're going to feel okay with what they've got because, again, when they get to the postseason, that bulldog, Grant Holmes, can go to the pen and provide the long relief that you need. So Grant Holmes is going to be huge in October. Huge in October. We can battle back and forth all year, but if anybody will tell me he won't be huge in October, go ahead and sign off your social media, close all your accounts, and go get some serious help. I said it. Grant Holmes is a tremendous pitcher, and he'll help us in October. Now, there are some relief pitchers that didn't pitch so well, and they would be Anthony Molina. He's gone. Carlos Carrasco, he's gone. But one of them did. And that's the guy we're going to talk about. James Karinchak, 1.17 ERA, 0.65 WHIP. I said it at the ballpark to Matt Olson Burner. He hung out with me this weekend. Guys, the Braves just don't like him because everything about him looks like it'll be okay, and that's okay. Not every team. It's like if me and Andrew were walking down the hall in high school. I think this girl is hot, and Andrew like, she's pretty, but she's not hot. That's kind of how the Braves are. And I've kind of got, and at the end of the day, with the bringing up, it would have probably made sense just for tonight's game to have Karinchak come back up, but they went ahead and brought Richie and Murphy up. That's my feelings on Karinchak. Prove me wrong, but Andrew, what is your feelings on James Karinchak? It seems like the Braves. They're not really that sold on James Karinchak helping them in the month of October.
Uh, that's the way it is right now, and you know, it's kind of like what we've talked about on this show about Vaughn Grissom. Kind of going back to it, they didn't really.
They like it.
The talent was there, but Alex and his staff didn't really see it.
Nacho Alvarez right now. Nacho Alvarez, they just don't. That's not the future for the Braves. It's Nacho Alvarez.
I agree with that statement as well about Nacho, and I love Nacho,
Yeah.
but James, it's just a tough comeback story, but he pitched well in June when we needed him to pitch. It's just right now I don't think the Braves see him in their plans heading into the postseason, especially in the postseason. Just the way he was sent back down for Cookie Carrasco. But yeah, it's unfortunate for James because he's been good, but I think there will be some other ways around that in the next coming weeks. I think.
Yeah, I do too. I think he'll be a valuable arm. People are going to get tired as the season goes on, and we'll need him. He'll come up and throw whatever. So He has options, so he's at Gwinnett, so we'll see with James. All right, so that's going to do it. That's our state of the pitching. Like I said, it's a midland grade. We usually give it at the end. We give it at the beginning. Bullpen good. Starting pitching, and the relief pitching was really the best. And the injuries affected us some. Definitely with Suarez going down and Strider. Let's hope Spencer gets healthy. Hopefully, and one last thing we're going to talk about, and we'll get out of here on this. Spencer Swellenbach threw from 90 feet a few days ago. We had told you the Braves did not expect him. Their mindset was, don't think he's coming back. It has been moving up, and me and Bo both put out that it would be here by Labor Day now. Now we're thinking maybe even late August. I think he'll be thrown in a rehab game by the end of this month or 1st of August. And if you go by the A.J. Smith timeline, that would put him at the end of August. So if Spencer comes back and he's able to throw in a rehab game by the time the trade deadline gets here, does that affect you, AA, when you go in the trade market? That's the question. What do you got, Andrew?
If I was AA, I still say no, because you don't know what he's going to give you until you see it. He may not be right where he usually is, but this is the World Series type of team right here. And I told you yesterday that when you got a chance to, and then we have a chance to go win 2 World Series in 5 years, you go for it. And you got to think about your World Series winning team that you have, not a guy that hasn't pitched for you in a year and a half. And I think Alex should see that. Maybe he doesn't, maybe he does. But if I were Alex Anthopoulos, that's what I would do. I would say, I got a championship winning baseball team. I got one of my best pitchers coming back, but I don't know how he's going to be. So I need to go get a guy just in case, and say you go get a guy and Spencer's just as good. That's an even better problem you have right there. And I'm glad you brought up Swellenbach, because I was going to mention something about him, about Bowman, I think, putting out saying he's going down to Florida pretty soon, maybe this week. So
it'll be after. Yeah, it's close. He's close, but he's getting there close. They're going to allow him to throw again off the flat mound, and then so this whole All-Star thing is going to throw him off a little bit. He can do that from here, but I expect him on the 17th, but no later than the 17th, to be down in Florida. Bo could be right. He may be. I'm just going from the old pitching coach. They're going to want him to throw one more time off a flat ground and before they get him down to PCL.
And I agree.
I mean, Bo's been around it too, so I don't ever try to go against.
I just couldn't remember what he said. Which week was it? So, Mark,
yeah,
if you're
I think 17th he would be down.
I'm not doxing you or anything. I'm just saying.
No. I'm not doubting Bo either. Bo, don't get off of me. It could be either one of them. He might have said it too. So we're all excited about Spencer. I mean, he's got a chance. He's got a chance to be back by the end of the year, and that's phenomenal. I mean, it really is. I'd be excited. So, all right, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy the game tonight. Let's win a series from the LOL Mets. They got Freddie Peralta on there. We're hitting the ball. We should put this guy out by the 4th inning, and Reynaldo should shove, and let's win a series. Andrew, I appreciate you. Braves Country, we love you, and as always, we're out of here. Peace.
You know what, boys? You guys are going to be world champions for the rest of your life.